What's up, friends? It is your girl Sarah from Sarah
Woo!
Styles here. I am like pumped up. If you guys did not attend eBay Open, I definitely highly recommend it if you can get in for the last 2 days, or they're going to have everything on eBay for Business YouTube channel. I think they said Monday, but I would check next week. Already, there's been some like killer sessions, including my two friends that are here. They both had sessions today, so we will get into that.
It's none of your business.
Oh,
Sorry.
no worries. So if you guys are joining me in the chat, I see a couple of friends here, but if you're joining me in the chat, let me know who is here. And if you guys attended eBay Open, definitely feel free to ask questions if you have it. While we're waiting for people to log on, did you guys? So I kind of was on most of the day. Apparently, I needed to have lunch, and they don't have a lunch, right? Right?
There
Because
was like a 5-minute break for that, I think.
yeah, so there was like a stuff like right in the middle that I didn't hear. But other than that, I kind of was listening all day. So I'm interested to know what your guys' I wrote down some things, but I
Yeah.
feel like there was like a sense of what they wanted to portray, what their mission, what they wanted us to really know about. Did you guys like what were your key takeaways from the day so far?
I also took notes.
I took away they're bringing a lot of new things, a lot of new things like the 3D
Mhm.
photography. Really enjoyed that. They really kind of finally followed through with the immediate payments, even for offers. I think they're really trying to modernize, get catch up to the rest.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Just some of the new kind of expansions for listing like 24 photos instead of 12 and video and live commerce. Like they're kind of making their way over to like that corner of the world, which is super interesting.
Right. So I definitely took away lots of great features, and I think that they're going to like dig deeper into it the next couple of days. It sounds like eBay Live is so last week, it's actually perfect timing. Last week, I had Ken and JC who are in the chat on about
What's
Whatnot,
up,
right?
Ken, JC?
Which is a live commerce site, right? So it's super exciting that eBay is headed this direction. I'm hoping that it's like fast and easy rollout, right? That we're not like getting it in a year and a half and
Yeah.
there's not. I mean, I know that there's going to be bugs, but hopefully it can. I haven't got on Whatnot yet, and now I'm like, well, if eBay, has it, then I'll just stay in eBay because I know eBay. So some of the things that the keynote speaker was like 2 hours almost, and it was multiple speakers. But kind of the takeaways that I got, like what eBay is doing is they're really trying to lean in to us, right? We're all sellers, so us being what makes eBay. Where if you think back a couple years ago, pre-pandemic, kind of when I first got on eBay 3-4 years ago, they were trying to compete with Amazon, with Walmart, with like these big, and then they were putting stress on the small sellers to be like, well, you have to do 1 day shipping and you have to do free returns and to compete with Amazon. And I know for me as a seller, I was like, okay, I'll do these because I want to be on eBay, but like that's very
Yeah.
stressful, right?
Mhm.
And we don't have the big pool that an Amazon and a Walmart has. And I think, and talking with Jordan, I think you guys maybe were there. There was a happy hour, and he was saying like the pandemic really taught them that their strength was all of us because they had a million shipping stations during a pandemic where Amazon was behind because they only had a couple of theirs. So I kind of
Yeah.
got that their overarching was we're leaning into the sellers. We want to make this platform for you. You guys are what makes us what we are, and these things that we're coming out for is ultimately for you. And maybe some of that's just the hype of going to a conference, right? We're like, yay, they're all about us. But that's definitely kind of the overarching, and everything that they're coming out with and everything they were saying is kind of what I was taking away. Would you guys?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like some of the other conversations we had while we were on campus were also kind of indicative of that there had been sort of a paradigm shift. Like this is a little bit of a returning to and a little bit of a pushing forward with the sellers being kind of the biggest asset because that is really like it is so personalized and so unique and there's so many different business models and so many different niches and non-niches like my store. And so there's like really truly room for everybody on eBay. And I'm really glad personally that they are leaning into that. Because in my mind, that is always something that I've appreciated about eBay. And it's like I'm really glad they're kind of leading with that now.
Yeah, and I think so. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that they really gave me the feeling when I was there at eBay headquarters, like they worked for us, like they were our employees. It really helped shift my perception of it all. Truly, every employee came up to you and made you feel like, hey, we are here for you. We are here to listen. You know, let's pick your brain. I thought that really played a key role.
Yes, for sure. So for those who are watching, a little bit of backup, like we're all good friends now.
Yeah,
So
we're all best
let me
friends.
give a little backup of what's happening here. So we are all me, Anna and Rosalia. Rosalia, do I say it right? You say it better.
You could say Rosie.
Rosie. Okay, I'm like, you say it so much better because I can't roll my R's. So we are presenters at eBay Open 2022, and that's why I've had them on. But 2-3 weeks ago, I don't know, time is not relevant right now, but we went to eBay headquarters for a week for eBay Open prep, as well as to kind of talk with executives. And we got, I mean, I think everyone who has been on, I have met. I kind of wish that we knew, like they were introduced when we met. There was a couple of happy hours and I was talking to people just chit chatting, and then I saw him presenting today. I was like, oh, well,
yeah, same.
I probably should have been picking his brain about all the things he does instead of talking about my children, but that was amazing. So we were all at eBay headquarters. So it was for eBay prep as well as them. Really, there was quite a few sessions of them wanting to pick our brains. Lots of different teams came in and were like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you guys want to see? So there was like a lot of that as well. So for people who are don't follow my Instagram and didn't see 3 weeks ago what I was doing, that's kind of what we're talking about. So they're presenters, as well as we're going to be talking about things that we learned at eBay headquarters. So yes. And actually, let me have you guys introduce yourselves too. So tell us a little bit about your store and what you sell.
Rosie.
Okay. So on Instagram, I'm Thrifting Babe. On eBay, I'm Rosie V 2007. I've been on the platform since 2007 as a buyer, but gradually started to sell part-time about 10 years ago. 3 years ago when the pandemic hit, I had some opportunities fall into my place, and I took those opportunities and decided to go full-time. I sell women's fashion, men's fashion, kids fashion, home goods. Started by selling thrifted items, garage sale items, estate sales, and UGG in wholesale, and started buying liquidation pellets. So yeah, I sell on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, Amazon, Facebook Marketplace, the Rural, and ThredUp.
Wow. So Rosie's actually going to be on, I think it's next week. We're going to be talking about different ways to source. There's lots of different ways out there. I thrift and bins. I've been buying people's closets now, but Rosie does mostly liquidation. So she'll be on, and then honestly, I don't remember who else is on, but other different people who thrift in different ways. Someone else. I don't remember. Okay, Anna, if you want to introduce yourself.
I'm Anna Packer. Hello. My store is called Anesthetic Miscellany or Anesthetic Miscellany. Both pronunciations are technically correct. And I have been on eBay selling. I've been like a casual eBay user for like a long time, but I've been selling on eBay in earnest for about 5 years. The first 2 years were part-time, and the past 3 years were full-time, have been full-time. And I basically have just like a pretty large inventory. It's like listed and forget it, long tail stuff, mostly across all kinds of different categories, which is why it's called miscellaneous, right? So I have about 12,000 listings, and I wrote a book about my store and why and how I set it up, and released that in 2020. And I feel like Sarah might have a copy. Yeah,
I do. And last time I mentioned it, and I didn't. It was like sitting on our house.
You're like, yeah. No, it's totally
we both
fine.
do.
But yeah, I have a stack of them somewhere in this office. But yeah, it's called Miscellaneous by Anna Packer. So if you're interested in hearing my story, I intentionally wrote the book before I felt like I had it all figured out. And so there are some like really helpful things that are practical, like it's a lot of nuts and bolts, and also a lot of like why I wanted to be running an eBay store full time. I had a whole career before that was completely different. And anyway, I wanted people to see like, you can forge your own path and running an eBay store in some form or fashion is like a way that you can do that. So that's kind of the basis of the book. It's not in any way like you should do exactly what I did. And in fact, I released that book, or I wrote the book right before COVID happened. And so I've actually changed a lot about how I run my business since then.
So
But it's all, yeah, I need to update it, obviously. But, you know, everything in there is true. That's how I set up my store and was successfully running it at that time. And I've just continued to evolve, as we all should. So yeah, I should really work on edition number 2 though, because a lot of things have changed, and so they should. That's part of showing the process while you're in the middle of it, which is something that I love about the way that Sarah does all of her stuff too. She's like showing you as it's happening, and that kind of transparency is what we need more of as resellers, right?
The chaos. So I'm talking to a friend of mine from high school, and he's a real estate agent, but he's like, how do I get on social media? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't know. You just do it and then people come. Like,
Right.
honestly, like, it sounds terrible, but I was like, I looked in the last, like when I was talking to him, I was like, my reel that had the most views last week was me vacuuming my office. Like,
where's my vacuum?
Right. And so, right. I know.
That was arguably your suckiest video.
Right. I'm just like, what am I doing today? I'm vacuuming my office. Yes, right. Oh, you're so funny, Anna.
I was just I'm sure it didn't suck.
It was, though. It was me vacuuming. And so that was a complete tangent. And I don't even know where we're going. Let's check in with the chat and then we'll get back to it. Maureen is here and she is a member of my YouTube. So last week
Hi, Maureen.
Yes, welcome, Maureen. Last week, I launched memberships on YouTube, so you guys can check that out. If you're watching on a computer, there is a button, or an Android, there is a button. Otherwise, on a iPhone, you can't do it for some reason. So I don't know. But anyway, so if you guys want to join, you can go through and look at there's 3 different tiers. One is just, hey, support me, you like me, you want to see more content. And then you get more things, mentoring, one-on-one live sessions, things, exclusive content and stuff. That being said, the members get a video that's coming out this weekend for everybody else on things that I learned. So I spent a week, we all did, but I spent a week at eBay headquarters talking to Jamie and Jordan and, you know, all of these executives, as well as like seller experience teams and marketing. And I made a video on my key takeaways from it. So it's going to be super, super helpful. If you are a member, you guys get to watch it. I think I'm releasing it today or tomorrow, but before everybody else. Yes, that was my spiel on that. So let's check in with everybody. And then you could tell today has been chaotic because I'm trying to do eBay Open while also working. So I was shipping and taking photos. And so I apologize that my brain is not that it's typically overly organized, but a little bit better than this, I feel like. Ken and Jay-Z are here. They are speaking at eBay Open as well. Well, Jay-Z's in the background, like giving Ken some notes and telling him to smile. And she's the brains behind the Hustle Bee. But Ken will be speaking about social media following and how to do that as well. He was on the chat last week. He sells sneakers. I love his little reel where it's like, I sell sneakers every day. Like he was just, it was the best.
Natural.
Yes. Flipping It Good is here. Hello. Welcome new to my channel. Thank you so much for joining. Mr. Styles, if you couldn't guess it, is my spouse. He's obligated to.
Thanks for appreciating my humor, Mr. Styles. Nice to meet you.
Liz is here. Liz is also, she went today. Does she have another session? She was interviewing the Posh Kings about being new to eBay and kind of things to do from there. Oh, Anna, Pizza Scrap is saying, I enjoyed the Been There presentation. So we may get a little bit more into that.
Yeah.
All of our seller sessions are airing twice, right? So yours will be aired.
Yes.
Both of yours will be aired again. They were this afternoon, right before this.
Which I believe they're at the same time slot on Friday. I know it's 1 p.m. Eastern time. So we're probably both replayed at that slot, right, Rosie? Because we both have
I believe so
this time.
Yeah, I think everyone's is because mine's at 11 Mountain Standard.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. There's probably just one segment for in case you missed it. Okay.
Right. So in case there's only one other one that you want to see. But they will all be on their YouTube. So if you guys are watching this and you're missing it or you didn't go to eBay Open at all, you can go through and check it out. That was a joke. Anna, way to miss the pun. Oh, yes, right. Got it.
Right.
Thank you. Hello, ladies. So excited for what's to come. That's to pick up my kids, but my husband will get them today. Let's see. Is she behind the Hustle Bee? She is. JC is like, everyone needs a JC in their life, right?
Yes.
Yes. I'm still waiting on mine to arrive.
Me too.
I would pay Jay-Z like $1 gazillion to be there. Can hold on to that one. I saw the same thing over and over and over again. I added a couple other overs. All right, so welcome everyone who's joining. Let's get a little bit into eBay Open. Things that you guys heard, things that we learned. We can talk about sessions. So Rosie did a session on $3 to 30. So it's nice because there's a lot of content, but I met most of the seller presenters. And so now I feel like I want to see everyone's presentation. So I kind of popped into everyone's. So I didn't get to see everyone's full presentation. So I would be interested, Rosie, a little bit more about like what you talked about and key takeaways, what people could learn.
So I talked about taking a $3 item and flipping it into 30. I was very nervous to do this all together, as you ladies know. I almost didn't board the plane. I was hoping a car would hit me. I tried to run off stage. I'm not a public speaker.
Which is so funny because she is so funny. Like
I know. Just
not on stage until they try to tackle me, but it's not my best work. But you know what? I'm glad I did it. And, just kind of broke the ice with that. But back to it. I talked about, what things I do to help maximize, my profit in buying a thrifted or garage sale or even clearance item from $3 to $30. When I did my PowerPoint before, I thought I had all the key points, but looking back now at everything I learned while I was there from everybody, I'm like, wow, I could have talked about this. I could have talked about that. I could have talked about so much, but I guess it's just a part of growing. Just because I've been selling for quite some years doesn't mean that I have it all locked down, because I don't. I don't. But I talked about a few tips that help me. A title, maximizing all the characters on your title, a good description, something I learned with my personal growth advisor. And if you guys don't know, Anna introduced me to that. She had one, and I reached out for one, and I had one, and he says, item specifics are huge. The more item specifics you put on your listing, the higher you're going to come up on the search engine. Something I didn't know. You'd think someone for 10 years, I would know. Nope. You learn something from everybody. So I talked a little bit about that. I talked about, pictures. Pictures speak 1,000 words. Having good pictures is important. Descriptions, shipping, customer rapport. Just touched a little bit on everything. So yeah, that was about it. I had a really simple PowerPoint presentation. Could have done better, but next time.
Rosie, you were awesome. So, what I caught the beginning, and you were talking about how to do comps. And what I appreciated, we only had 30 minutes. And so it's so hard to show, and I saw some of this in YouTube, is showing, a lot of times you'll see people and they're like, look up comps, and then they move on to the next thing. Both of you did a really good job of this is how to do it.
Yeah.
But you showed the screenshot. And then when I saw you, Anna, too, we'll get to your session in a minute, but you were showing the spreadsheet, which y'all know me, I love a good spreadsheet. You were showing how you do your spreadsheet and what it actually looked like. And I think those visuals are really very helpful for a lot of people. Something that I want to know, if you guys are new, I think you can learn something, like Rosie said, from everyone. Even if you've been selling forever. I think Rosie's is really beneficial for some new, because you're talking about item specifics and comps. And if you're maybe thinking about getting on the platform, or a newer, trying to gain some momentum and stuff, definitely. I think everyone can learn, but check it out on Friday if you're in the eBay Open, or it'll be on the channel. Something I wanted to touch on too, because you said item specific. So eBay's like a left-hand filter system, right? So people come on search and they click on all of those things. I know you know this. I'm talking to the people watching. Not trying to teach you.
Really?
Yeah, no, sorry. This is I'm not mansplaining to you, friends. This is for people who maybe are like, well, what is an item specific and why is it important? Because I have all different levels that watch my channel. But so all of those, but you type in an item and then you click all of those things on the back end of your listing. That's what an item specific does. So the more of those things on the left that you have clicked, the more you'll come up as people search deeper and deeper into your items, right? And that's one reason that item specifics are important. But not just picking item specifics that aren't relevant. Because if you pick something, a lot of times I do women's clothing and it wants you to fill out the character.
Yes.
There's not a character, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes people are like, well, I just pick a character. And I'm like, but then you're coming up in something that's not relevant to you, and then people won't do it. they have that circle. And if you're someone who feels the need to close that circle, find ways to meditate around that because you don't need to close the circle. eBay needs to get rid of it because I mean, it's helpful if you could be like, I want to get close to that, but you shouldn't close. Not most listings, you're probably not going to close that circle because not everything's relevant to your listing, right? I'm saying that right to you because I know you guys know that. If there's anything you want to add on so we can learn.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, that's what I want to say to that.
Yeah, I know items specifics are a pain because it makes it harder and fast or slower to list, but they really do serve a purpose. Anna, do you want to talk? So you were in the Been There, Done That. Is that the name of it?
Yes, been there, done that. Another time where you right out the gate. I was like, man, if I can't lead with my own personality and sense of humor, then, you know, if you don't like the title, you're not going to like my talk. But,
that's kind of how I was because they were like, wear plain clothes. And I was like, but my hair is pink. So
you're like, I shan't. Yeah, it was, thank you so much,
Rosie. It was amazing. I left mine to watch yours.
Oh my gosh. Well, I was just thinking the challenge of 30 minutes is tough because it's like, what's the level of granularity? Like, if you want to get into depth about everything, you know, to kind of an equal amount, like, how do you include only the most important things? And anyway, I was just thinking, Rosie, when you were talking about yours, because I haven't gotten to see yours yet, is just that it sounds like the breadth of things that you covered was really helpful because it's like people, especially people who are just starting out, it's like, well, which of these things like really matters, you know, like all of it can be equally impactful, but it sounds like you really like touched on all the stuff that really matters. So even that alone is like so helpful. But yeah, I talked about inventory management, which I think is funny because like I love eBay. I'm a big eBay fan. I only sell on eBay. I meant to mention that earlier. I kind of live under a rock, as Ken and JC like to tease me about all the time. So I'm like one platform, nose to the grindstone. Like that's what I do. Because yeah, the flexibility of and keeping that part of it simple for me allows me to do a lot of other different stuff in my life. And so that was the whole like point of me starting my eBay store. So anyway, I keep it simple on that front. But basically, I talked about inventory management, and I do have a large inventory, relatively speaking, for like a one man / with contractors, a couple contractors kind of show. But like, I was like, well, good thing that I have an inventory system. I guess they just assumed like if you have 12,000 items, you must know how to manage your
inventory. Did they not know when they picked you? I'm always curious like how they found us and why they picked us and the topics that I mean, for me, it kind of makes sense because I do a lot of like tools.
Yeah. Right. It's like you're like public facing talking about analytics. I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that I was able to speak to what they wanted me to speak to because I was like, great, I could talk about this all day, but I did only have 30 minutes. And so
I mean, they would have to know with 12,000 items, even if it's not like the most what's the word? Like the best, like you have 12,000 items. You would not be selling and have the sales level that like they can see your sales level.
True. Yeah.
To know that you're selling.
And I took stuff on time. So I guess they could just surmise from the context clues. But yeah, it was fun though. I got to talk about basically there were 3 different components, the rules and tools that kind of help me guide and streamline my own process with inventory. And I talked about death piles because that's everyone's favorite subject. We all have like a mortal enemy death pile somewhere. And then also just kind of really wanted to emphasize underscoring everything, the importance of creating a system that works for you. And, you know, we all have different systems. We all have different brains. We have different like things that work for us. And so I'm really aware of that. And I also know the value, like I was saying earlier, of transparency about what you actually do and like what does work for you. So I try to always couch everything like that. Like this is how I do it. And to some people, it may not make sense to do it that way. Or you might like hear about using a spreadsheet and be like, never know. But for me, that works really well, but it's not fancy at all. It's like a log, you know, I'm not even like talking. It's just like simple. But you know, it's all about sort of actually trying things and iterating and figuring out what works for you and what actually makes things more efficient, because the more efficient everything is when you have a process, right? when you have a good process for something, you can teach it to someone else, which is really helpful for scaling. And even if you don't want to scale, it helps you to spend just the necessary amount of time on your work, because as much as we all like love reselling, it is work, and we have other parts of our lives that we want to give our attention and time to. So that was kind of
probably why me and Anna like get along so well, because it kind of sounds like I'm listening to myself talk right now.
You're like, this sounds awfully familiar. Yeah.
But I mean, I just did a video this week, sometime this week on YouTube, and it was like, you're going to make money by saving time. Like it wasn't anything mind blowing. I mean, I don't feel like it's mind blowing, but it's like, if you can ship double the amount of items in the same amount of time.
Right. Double the amount of items.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
and you can list double and you can source double. So if you can
Yeah.
find ways to count your time, you're not going to get more time. There's only 24 hours in the day.
Right. And the rest of the time that you aren't, even if you're not applying that towards double the amount of items, you're applying it towards the priceless things in your life, which is even better, you know? So yeah.
Yes. And that's, I was chatting with, when I came up, the other cool thing about when I came up to it's not up from Colorado. When I came west to California, I met with Daily Refinement. And so we did like a little bit of chat. If you guys follow my channel, you know that I kind of did a mentoringship with him. And something that came up with a chat is like and he has a baby now, so I think it's like really digging in for him. But the mental space is priceless. And for me, like I have a family, and I got a virtual assistant for the mental space. It wasn't to grow. It was strictly to be like, I don't want to work every night when my kids go to bed. I don't want to work at dinner. I don't want to constantly be on my phone. Like I want to spend time with them. And if it means I make less money, it means I make less money, but then I still get to do what I do. And it ended up helping me grow.
Yeah.
But that mental space too is like, we're doing all these things to make essentially the money. Now we need to have the time to spend that or the time to spend it, with our children or our other hobbies or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So both of you, I want to know from your presentations, like someone's new to eBay, like what would you, from your presentation, or probably just in general on eBay, what would be like a couple points of advice? So like, I just got on eBay, like what should I focus on? What should I do? Or what would you?
I'll speak to that. My biggest challenge with my own business is keeping a proper inventory. I'm terrible at it. I have a very minimal inventory system, and Anna has an amazing spreadsheet that she is hopefully willing to, sell me so I can work with it.
Girl, I will I'll send you a blank copy.
But simple is best when it comes to inventory. I think in my mind, I grew so fast with liquidations. I went from having 300 listings to buying 10 pallets in a matter of 3 months, all of 400 or 500 pieces. So I was just going. It was just myself. For me, if I could go back, I wish I would have implemented a simple inventory system like Anna's. Had you walked into my life at that time, I would have praised you a lot more than I do now. Stay organized. Yeah. My biggest challenge is the time management when it comes to finding my products. So stay organized, have a good, simple inventory system. It'll save you so much time. I spend more time looking for my items than I do listing, drafting, shipping. So that's going to be my biggest tip through my experience.
How many items do you have, Rosie? You're giving me a little bit of anxiety over here.
Actively, I think, combined in my Poshmark and eBay, because I don't list all of it on each other, at least 6,000, and I would say about 6,000 unlisted.
Get it. Well, let me say something to encourage you, Rosie, but also to piggyback off of what you're saying, because I think my advice is definitely like systems related also. I didn't have an inventory system, a formal or like written down one at all until I was at 6,000 items. Actually, I'm pretty sure I was more like at 8,000.
How did you? So then you went through 8,000 items, and
I touched every single item in my store. Yes. So here's what I did. I used to group things together, like items together, but then that became more and more complicated
because you sell a lot, like you sell everything.
Right. Yeah. Right. And so, I mean, I would just I took a whole summer and like almost every day, at least Monday through Friday, I would take at least one bin and I would inventory that bin. I would find it in my spreadsheet and I added a column for like a bin number and a storage unit number. And I had to assign those to every single item that I already had listed, which was a pain in the butt. But I'm telling you, I know what it's like to look for items when you've got 6,000 plus items sitting around and you're like, yeah, I can remember where I put that 3 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, because honestly, weirdly, up to that point, I usually could find it pretty relatively
6,000
quickly.
items you could find?
Yes, and I could tell you how much I paid for it and where I got it because I don't know. That's my savant power, I guess. But basically, I was just like, okay, there will be a point at which this is no longer sustainable, and I was increasingly having like a one-off instance or maybe a 2 or 3 off instance where I couldn't find something and it was taking forever and it was so frustrating.
And then you were canceling on eBay?
I would occasionally have to. Usually I would end up finding it, but I would spend like an hour looking for like one thing. You know, if I had 50 things, I could find 49 of them really fast, and then I'd spend forever looking for one. So that was happening. And then I also thought like, well, I do want to be in position to scale up and eventually have so many sales that I have to hire someone to help me ship. And how on earth are they going to ever pull things? They don't have my brain and my memories of where things are. So I finally put it into place like stubbornly after all of that time. But my advice would just be to anyone who isn't already there. If you're already there, it's never too late and it's never too early. Just go ahead and do it. Commit the time to do it because it'll save you infinite amounts of time going forward. But
and stress, like not even just time, but that feeling.
Yes, it's a terrible thing.
And it's always like when you have to like go to a doctor appointment or pick up the like it's always the worst time.
Yes.
Like
or when you're like,
I had all afternoon to do this.
For me, it was like I waited until 10 p.m. to do my shipping for the day that I'm going to set out in the morning for the mail carrier to pick up. And now it's 1 a.m. and I still can't find this freaking thing and expletive. That's where I was. So I'll just let your imaginations fill in those blanks.
Yes,
but I would say like, go ahead. I know it can be really intimidating for some people. They're like, I don't want to have a system. Like, I'm a free spirit, and I understand that too. But have like a basic system, even if all of the like, you don't even have to necessarily have some external spreadsheet, depending on how much and what kind of information you want to be able to access about all of your items over time. Like, I'm a nerd and I want every bit of information about every item forever since the very first item that I listed. So that's what I have. That's why I have my own. But like, you could do your whole inventory system, in the custom label field on your eBay listings. Like, you don't even have to have a spreadsheet. But to my point of like, that's why it's important to figure out what works for you. Like, start somewhere and start now. Start where you are. Use what you have. Yeah, and then you can always make it more complex, but just start with something simple that you can look at it and understand. And I've also found, so I have been working towards like getting ready to hire someone to help me with shipping. Hopefully this Q4 I will need it. And so I will, try it out at that point. But I've started basically writing out written instructions. Like, if I were going to teach someone how to do this, what would I tell them to do? Yeah. Because that forces you to think through every step and not make any assumptions about what someone else coming off the street would know to do or not do with your system. So,
and I feel like too, this is the teacher part of me, is when you can describe it to someone else, you've mastered it. Exactly. When you can teach it to someone else to the point that they can do it, you have mastered it. And I don't know that to each its own. Personally, I don't feel like you are to the point of having contractors, employees, VA, or whatever it is until you've mastered it.
Yeah.
And can teach it to them, right? And so like, if you're just starting off getting a virtual assistant, but you don't know how to list, like, how are you going to teach them to list if you don't know how to do it? How are you going to teach them to ship if you don't know how to ship?
Right. And like, your standing and your metrics of your store and your seller performance all depends on that. So that's
important. Why I haven't gone there yet. I've tried some out. Yeah. I've tried some shippers out, and they mostly do okay, but then I'm like, it just takes that one, right? I'm still at 100. Once I get to not 100% feedback, I won't care as much, but I'm like, I'm still at 100% positive. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want it to be that one. I do have a question because I saw someone ask this in your presentation. This wasn't intended to be a systems chat, but this is why I love these chats because this is where it's going.
Yeah.
And I saw someone in your presentation as well as in the chat is kind of talking about the bin system. So Mom's Closet Texas Christy is saying, at the end of your talk had me convinced I was ready to change. I have category bins now, but it's not efficient because they aren't full totes. So that's kind of, I started around like 800 items that I implemented mine.
Yeah.
And mine was like dresses.
Good.
But that's why like that seemed really overwhelming to me. And it was 800 that I'm like I don't even have 6,000 items total right now. I can't even inventory and all of them. So I started with category bins, and I think that's probably where most people, from what I've been talking to, is where they start. But then as you grow, you have 25 category bins.
Yes. Yeah.
That you're going through. So the question here, and then in the chat too, I'm interested to know perspectives. People, let us know in the chat what you guys do as well. So you have a bin and you obviously sell items out of it.
Yes.
And it's now half empty. What do you do? What do you recommend? And then I'll say what I do. And then Rosie, what you're gonna do.
Yes.
Hire Anna.
Like, well, what I'm gonna do.
Hire Anna.
Okay, so what I do
That's valid too. Like, hire out what you don't want to do. I'm all about it.
Seriously. I do consolidate bins when they're about half empty. So sometimes it's funny because it doesn't really matter to me because everything has a number. It doesn't matter if it's like items or same category or whatever. It doesn't matter at all. I will just combine the bins, and then I go in my spreadsheet and say that I combine bin 40 and bin 50. Okay. So I put all the stuff from 40 into 50. So then I go in my spreadsheet and I search, find and replace search, right? All of the number 40s, and I change them to 50. And then I know where to find it whenever that sells. I don't have to remember that I consolidated it. The spreadsheet tells me where it is. And so as long as you always update right after you do that, and you don't forget to do that part, it's pretty much foolproof. But sometimes
then you can't. So I'm just thinking through this. Go
ahead.
So you pull your items when you ship from a spreadsheet, because we've had this conversation.
Yes.
From a spreadsheet where I do it from the SKU, where if you did that,
right,
you'd either have to go into eBay and update your SKU in eBay, or in the wrong.
Which you could, I was wondering about this. I think you could still do it that way if you had your bin number in your custom SKU. Mm-hmm. Then you could search it or sort it by that or something, right? And just change it back.
Yes, but eBay's not that reliable. So I personally would not recommend relying on eBay to search and find things. I know this because 2 weeks ago I have SKUs for like cost of goods that connects to my financial spreadsheets and all kinds of stuff in there. And I entered something in wrong. Like I wrote down the SKU wrong in my financial spreadsheet, and it's different in eBay. So then when I do a VLOOKUP, they don't see. So I had to go in there and find all of them. And I looked it up, and fingers crossed, they did all come up. But I've looked for other things and they don't always come up. And so I don't know that I would rely on eBay if people are watching this. I don't know if that's.
Well, and also, I mean, I know for like a lot of the different, the different views of our like data and analytics stuff, like it only can go back so far. And so I have 5 years of items in my spreadsheet. That's how I know that over time I've listed over 20,000 items total. Right. Because
they change it, and then it's like, oh, now you can only look at it for 90 days, and you're
right. And so, and also, like, I started it 5 years ago, so I don't even remember what the capabilities were on the back end of eBay seller stuff at that time. Right. But for me, like, as far as consolidating, that's what I do, and I'll wait until this is more for the sake of simplicity. So. And again, like this is a personal example just for like take it or leave it, whatever. But I have 3 different storage units. So to keep things simple, I never consolidate bins that are in 2 different units, because then that's one more thing I have to remember to change. And so like, I'll just wait till there's 2 bins in my first storage unit that are both half empty, and then consolidate at that point. And the pace at which I sell things through, it works out pretty well, where like I free up enough real estate on my shelves, like in time to put the new stuff in. And if it's looking tight, then sometimes I'll look around and go like, is there anything I can consolidate in here today? Because, maybe I just haven't like looked in a while, and there's some bins that are half empty just sitting there, or half full, depending on if you're an optimist or not. But
this is why like everyone's system works differently for them.
Yeah,
so I will tell you how my system is, and it's actually, I don't know if she's still here. I saw her earlier. The Thrifty Broad, actually. I was chatting with her once, and like what she told me like blew my mind. It's the simplest thing, and I'm like, that just blew my mind. So I used to consolidate, and what I would actually do was and I don't have 12,000 items. I had at this point
17, 12.
Well, who is the card guy who has like 17 million?
Yes, 40 million cards on eBay.
Card father.
That inventory system has got to be wild, but
totally nuts.
So I used to do that. I used to consolidate down, and what I would do is just like move everything forward. Like I would go through once a month and spend hours moving everything forward.
Yeah.
And mine was at the point just SKUs. And so like bins didn't matter what bin it was just in numerical order. And then I got bigger. And I was talking to the Thrifty Broad, and she was like, just bring the half empty one and fill that one up.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Like, that's mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
And so what I do now is as I'm shipping, and I actually have, these are ones that you can probably see. There's like a sticky note on it.
Uh-huh.
So as I'm shipping, if I've been as like half empty, I'll put a sticky note on it. So then like today I'm taking photos. I go to my inventory and I'm like, that one has a sticky note. That one has a sticky, like just pull all the ones that have sticky notes, and I know that they're half empty, and I just fill them back up with a bin number. And it saved me like hours. Yeah. So thank you, the Thrifty Broad, for sharing that, because it has significantly, and every month I was like, oh, I don't want to go through and do this. And it was awful. This was not intended to be about inventory management. So if you guys do have questions about it, we're happy to answer. Let me check in the chat, and then I want to get a little bit to some of the new features that they're talking about.
Yes.
And then some sessions that maybe we're excited about. Obviously, my session tomorrow. My favorite part so far, still have to watch some replays, is you get 24 photos. So they are updating. We mentioned this at the beginning. They are planning on updating it to 24. I'm going to note, because I can see some people like postcard sellers being like, well, that's useless, right? Like, I don't need 24 photos. And I will say, I think a lot of people used to, I don't know if it's still kind of a myth out there, but you don't have to use all the photos. You don't have to do all the item specifics. You don't have to, like, there's no back end algorithm. I've talked to quite a few eBay executives. There's no back end algorithm. And if you pull the listing quality report, it'll actually show you how many photos people use in your category, like what the top sellers use. And so for clothing, it is a lot more, because you have a lot more to show, but you don't have to use it. So just want to put that out there. For some people, it will be really useful. You don't have to use it. I've been looking for a cheap inventory and scanning system. So I know Lori Tata uses something where you put it like on the front and you scan it, and then it like puts it in your phone. I don't know what it's called, but she has a YouTube channel, or send me a DM and I'll send you her number. I know, and this was a couple years ago. I don't know if she still uses it. Oh, I'm glad Anna's my friend. Wealth of knowledge. I definitely recommend, if you're new, finding an eBay pro. Everyone has someone that they can ask questions about. How do we feel about the new Poshmark beta for live auctions? What? I didn't know. Did you know Poshmark? Well, you're not on Poshmark. I didn't know they were doing this. Trendy, please tell us more. So Poshfest is next week. Next week? Is that the end of the month is next week? And I'm going to have people on the following week for Poshfest, but I didn't know this. Rosie, did you haven't heard it?
No. I've been really focused on eBay and taking all the knowledge that I learned.
Yes.
And really focusing on eBay. I haven't really paid much attention to Poshmark, so that's new to me.
That's interesting, and I wonder why they wouldn't wait for Poshfest to release something like that.
Oh, wow.
That's interesting. I mean, it's Whatnot's where it's at, right? Apparently for other people, I don't know that I want to have to do it.
It is interesting, though, considering eBay also announced that they're getting in on that. And I didn't know whether Poshmark did or not, because like I said, live under a rock, only list on eBay.
They do not.
But everyone's joining that corner.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder how it'll be for everyone. That's the wrong one. I don't have a spreadsheet. I add the number of the bin at the bottom of my description. When it sells, I just read my description and go to my bin. So quick tip, you can put it in your SKU, and that comes up when you print. So it'll be like right there when you print. So it's one less step. I'm all about time savings. It's 30 seconds, but 30 seconds times 10 items times every day, times a month, times a year. Like, you get where I'm going here. I don't use a spreadsheet. I use numbers starting at 1,000 to infinity, no matter the type, but I do custom SKU with number and bin type. I put prepackaged boxes on whole shelving units separate. I like to hear different people's, because I think even if it's not something that works for me, there may be a little that I can get. Do you have SKU stickers?
Me?
Yeah. Rosie, do you have SKU stickers?
I literally have my stuff by category and size. That's it. Women's sweater, all size medium and bins, all size large. So that's a hot mess in its own.
A hot mess. I'm wondering, and maybe people in the chat will have items or have.
Give me all the ideas. I need all the help.
A little behind the scenes of Jaren, Big Dreams.
Yes, that's what's coming on next week. Thank you.
Is it?
I knew there was someone else. We're talking about,
I'm pretty sure he uses SKU stickers and puts all his things in like a bag, a bag with a sticker.
Which is what I do. But these stickers, this is why I'm asking. These stickers stop at 10,000.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so I'm like slowly starting to think like, do I just buy a one for them? Or do I need to find like a new sticker? Because these ones like are easy to peel. Like I've bought other stickers and they were hard to peel and it takes time.
You're like, I like these stickers.
I know. So I don't know if anyone had any ideas. That was like completely different.
We could do a letter.
Yes, one extra. Yeah, but then I have a bin letter. I don't know. Yeah. When you have a place setting of 12, you run out quickly. If you want close-ups of each item, I was doing collages to help. Yes, which is so time-consuming to have to do this. I thought of doing that before. I used to do that, and then I was like, no. I did it when Poshmark only had like 4 photos or something dumb, right? It's beta coming out tomorrow. Oh my God, Trendy Hunter. This is amazing. I have to go research this and figure it out. I don't want to do it, but I feel like I need to know what's happening.
I don't want to do it.
I heard this morning they're starting it. Okay, this is like not about eBay Open, but super.
Yeah, but it's all happening.
Oh, it was invite only. I've been shamed by Poshmark.
I didn't get an invite either. It's okay.
Me neither.
All right. Maybe. That's interesting. So if you guys, the people that are following, let me know who got an invite that's telling other people, because I want to follow them and kind of see how it's going.
Oh, the Posh Kings are beta testing it.
Oh, are they? Okay. So Posh Kings are also at eBay Open this week. Their session was with Liz, the Thrifty Broad. I'm so glad to be helpful to someone else. So Thrifty Broad, follow her. She has a YouTube channel, social media, Instagram, lots of great tips. Just kind of backed off a little bit. I use bins that are numbered, but no individual SKU system. I love that there are so many ways to be successful. Oh, yes. So Liz was chatting with the Posh Kings. Our beta testing and will be live tomorrow on Poshmark. Oh, what? My brain can't handle this right now. I can't. Too many things. Yes, I didn't want to do it either. I think it's just going to be tragic to sales unless you do it, right? Yeah. Maybe.
Well, and even then it's like, at first, are you just giving stuff away essentially because you're building up your,
Yeah, I'm hoping not, because you already have the platform behind you, right?
I mean, yeah, hopefully.
In theory, but that could be why. So eBay has, and they talked about it today, and I talk about it in my session, but getting you followers and saved sellers. And so if you've been working on that for the past year without realizing why you were working on that for the past year, it may be helping you.
Yeah.
Let's see. All registered attendees of Posh Fest 2021 and 2022 were invited as participants, as well as local Bay Area ambassadors and sellers who attended. So what I'm hearing is I probably shouldn't delete those emails. I spoke at Posh Fest last year. Like, if that's the case, I should have been invited, and I probably just deleted their emails. Oops. Everyone is going to want to get a $3 deal. This is where, so we're talking about Whatnot. If you guys haven't checked it out, we were talking about Whatnot last week. It's more of a volume game. You can sell things quicker without listing, without like just right there in front of them, unless you have like the most wanted sneaker that no one else can get and you can drive up the price. Everyone across the board, no matter how well they were selling, was saying you're definitely going to see a lower ASP. But on the back end, are you spending less time, right? And you're getting in and out the door right away.
That is the question.
Not the purpose of this session, but it's interesting to know. I believe live sessions are more about volume, like Ken said in your channel last week. Perfect. Yes. So Liz. All right. So we have about 10 minutes left. People can always ask questions for sure, but I want to talk about some of the new features. So eBay Live, perfect segue into eBay Live. eBay Live was definitely one of the new things. They're doing like a new international shipping program, and they didn't. So I think, tell me if this is right. They kind of like tease some of these new things, and then there'll be more to come in the following days.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
think so.
that's the sense you guys got? Okay. So I'm interested to hear about that because I know when we were at eBay headquarters, they kind of were picking our brain about, would it be easy if we did everything and you just more GPS type of thing, but like doing the returns, like once we sent it, it was them. Like we didn't deal with it anymore. So I'm interested to see where that goes. 3D pictures, like you guys mentioned, offers with immediate payment. Fingers crossed. They said by the end of the year, but they also said that at eBay Open last year. So
hopefully they've worked out those kinks, and it really will be by the end of this year.
Yeah. And then 24 photos. Those are the big ones that I wrote down or from what you guys had said. Is there anything else that you guys?
No, I think those were the ones that really stood out to me. I'm really excited about the 3D because I sell some designer stuff, and a certain amount of pictures is not enough. I would like to show serial numbers, close-ups, because there's a lot of money involved.
Yeah.
The higher end designer items, people could say, oh, it was missing this, or it's happened, or where's the picture of the certificate of authenticity. So I'm very excited about that. It's definitely going to be a game changer for me, at least.
I'm curious. So my brain goes to like video, and I don't think any of my stuff really needs video. It's not anything crazy, but like the storage space that video would take up, right? Like taking photos, like I have them on my computer in a zip file I send to my virtual assistant, but having the video for 12,000 items, that's a lot.
That is a
For
lot.
you to keep, for eBay to have a server for, I don't know, that's where my brain goes.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would need it. Would you use the video or the 3D?
Occasionally, not for most items probably, but I mean, it is nice, I think, as an option for, like, I just had somebody ask me 1,000 different questions about a music box this week, and if I'd had a video of the music box playing, they wouldn't have had to ask me those questions. I wouldn't have had to go pull it from my inventory to double check and answer their questions, and then they didn't buy it anyway. So like that kind of stuff drives me nuts, and I feel like, okay, a music box, for example, is the exact kind of thing that audio visual presentation would be like so great for.
I wonder, like for shoes, it's one size basically. I mean, you have different sizes, but it's one size. I wonder how it's going to look. Like a music box could be ginormous or small. Like it would be nice if they had some kind of way to see the size as well. Yeah, scale. That's the right way to say it.
I thought I wanted to just say something about this because they sort of plugged us in the spirit of, on the last day of eBay Open, they're announcing grant winners for the Up and Running grant.
Yes, I meant to bring this up because you guys are both grant winners, right?
Yes. And the Up and Running grant program is phenomenal, I think. I won it last year. I applied the first year they did it in 2020 and didn't get it. I applied for it again last year, and to my total shock and surprise, got it. I always tell people I got the email when I was sitting in the Dunkin' Donuts drive-through to get a coffee, and between like when I ordered, when I picked up my coffee, I like checked my email, broke down into tears, and like got my coffee just like boo-hooing because I was so excited. But
so
like,
for those who don't know, will you tell us a little bit? Because you guys both did, and Liz, I think, has one as well. What this program is, like what it does.
So eBay partners with Hello Alice, and and at least this last round, they gave 50 sellers $10,000 with like zero stipulations about what you have to do with the money. Like they want to ask you about it later to find out how you spent it, but there's no like requirements of what you spend it on. It's just to grow your business. And you have to like already be an eBay seller, and there's like a little bit of criteria like that. Like you already have a store that's like established. But you also get access to all of these optional things, like a bunch of seller school training, like group coaching type of stuff. That's actually how I ended up with a growth advisor working one-on-one with me. and just a lot of like community. And I mean, for me, I assume that that's why eBay knew I existed to invite me to speak at eBay Open. It was because I was part of the grant program. And of course I was like, I mean, I've literally been operating under a rock. So yes, it's free to apply. Thank you, Liz. Liz has a lot of info about this too.
And how long do you think? Because I looked at it maybe last year and went to fill it out, and I was like, well, that seems like a lot longer than Carline's going to take me to.
Yeah.
And so I'll come back to it. And then I never went back to it. So
I would say, I mean, I would consider, you know, maybe 30 minutes to an hour if you've never thought about some of the questions. They ask really good questions in the application about kind of the bigger picture, like why you're running your business, how it's helpful to your community, what you want to do as you grow your business. So they're like big questions that require like thoughtful answers. So I say, you know, put in as much time as you can to like answer really thoughtfully. But for me, I had literally just written a book about most of those questions, like, you know, where I spent a chapter talking about what I would answer. So for me, it was really easy to go like, I've already thought all the way through this, and let me just go kind of pull some of my thoughts together. But that was just a coincidence. So I would say, you know, there are questions that are like, they require more than just like a sentence or two to answer. And they want to know like the human element. That's what they want to know from those questions. And so really just like, don't spend forever on it, but like speak from the heart, you know?
Even
Yes,
if you
for
spend
sure.
2 hours on it, that's $5,000 an hour. Like
I
I
mean,
don't know what
exactly.
you're selling, but I don't make $5,000 an hour.
I don't either.
I don't think I spent a lot of time on it, to be honest with you. I went in with the perception, I'm not going to win this. I never win anything. You know, I'm not going to. So I didn't put too much effort into it, but I was very from the heart. My story's really from the heart.
Yeah.
So I assume that's why I won, but it wasn't
They want real
too complicated. It wasn't like, give me your numbers, your data, give me, you know, how much. No, it was really like, where did your business start? What led you? More sentimental.
Yeah, it's you and your story. And
yeah, just pretty much.
Yeah.
And I think the application process wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. It was actually the first grant that I applied for.
Really?
And now you do it all the time. I saw your stories yesterday.
Now I do it all the time. I think yeah. Last year, I won a little over $20,000 in grants. Awesome. And let me tell you that I'm not, I can't write very well. I'm not, you know, I only got an associate's degree. So I'm sure there's people who write a lot better than I do. And just by putting myself out there, you know, I was able to secure some grants. So I'm a big advocate.
Know that you're a real person. I think that probably comes in. So so not the eBay one, but then also the $20,000 that you won. Like, what are you spending this money on that you want to indulge in? You don't have to all your
I repaired my forklift. I bought
a forklift?
Yeah.
What?
I was like, did you just say forklift?
Because you do pallets, so then you don't have to pay for
yes.
Time.
We repaired the forklift. We bought more liquidation pallets. I bought some more industrial shelving for my business, and I was able to hire on 2 employees, so that money went to good use. Paid them well, took care of them very well.
Yeah, that's nice. So then with the growth that you had from this grant, were you able to keep the employees?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. So I think that's really what it's about, is being able to scale and then maintain it once it's come out. That's exciting. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Anna, what did you do?
You've inspired me to continue applying for grants.
I like all of them. There's so many resources. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but this is not what it's about. But yeah.
Oh, I mean, talk all about it. We talked about bins for like 20 minutes.
I
know. Hello Alice is a really good platform to find grants, different types of grants. I always go on there regularly. Also, Hello Skip, I think it is. I follow him a lot on Instagram. He promotes a lot of grants, a lot of, you know, funding from the government and whatnot. Educate yourself. The money's out there.
Yeah.
And Rosie shares, I've seen on her stories too. So you can start there. And then both of Anna and Rosie are both active on social media. So if you guys have questions that go past this, you can always leave them down in the comments and I will try and answer. If I can't answer, I can direct you to their social medias. So definitely, I'm not ending this, but that was like a nice place to plug you guys. So definitely follow. Their Instagram handles are linked down below. So if you guys have questions and you want advice or just to chit chat, because these are amazingly wonderful women here, you can. Sorry, it's just made me laugh so hard. He's like the eBay spokesperson, and I didn't know. He told me. So Yinka is also a speaker, a presenter, I don't know what.
Celebrity, a straight up
eBay
He was
celebrity.
in like all the pictures in the back, and Jamie was like, "And my friend Yinka," like in the keynote.
I know, amazing guy.
I feel like I need autographs over here. But last week he was like, "Oh, I watched you," and I was like, "You just like crept in the background, like you know." But now I know that his name on YouTube is. So I appreciate you telling me who this was, and I know who it is. They're saying, "Don't let your writing skills deter you."
Deter you.
Thank you. I'm done with the day. Can you tell? There's so much more about being genuine, right with your heart. There was a really good tip. Liz had a good tip. Colorado Reworn is Liz's handle as well on social media. She has great eBay content.
Amazing.
Well, reseller in general, but
Great headshot there, Liz. Excellent.
Yes. eBay and Liz are like pretty tight. So lots of good eBay content. Look at the rules. They give you how to weigh each section.
Yeah.
I've never thought about it. Okay. I think we're good. Let's end. Have you guys looked at the agenda for the rest of the week? Do you have something you're looking forward to minus the grant winners?
I'm looking forward to that for sure. I saved a bunch of stuff. I think mostly like a lot of the things that like you're saying today, they introduced these ideas and like alluded to more information later. A lot of those kind of new developments that eBay's new products are working on. Like I'm really interested in all that for sure. Yeah.
Rosie?
I just want to watch everybody else's presentations. Everybody was so amazing. I mean, I left eBay open with a wealth of knowledge, but a big group of friends and supporters. And I can't wait to support them by watching their sessions.
I have one other question, but I'm going to say I am also very excited I know they're doing like an eBay live. I don't know if it's like I don't know. They're doing something with it, like to show it to us. And I'm interested because I want to see what it looks like, how it's going to be. Like, I want to learn more about that.
Yeah, like demonstrating it.
The biggest thing that I'm interested in, because I have even this morning, I bought a whole closet and there's a lot of free people. And I had Ken in my head this morning that was like, that sells really well on Whatnot. Maybe I almost texted him like, can you get me on Whatnot? And I was like, sir, I don't need one more thing. So I am really interested in it in eBay and learning more about that. Whether I do it or not, I will bring it here for you guys to learn more about as I learn more about it. My other question was, eBay headquarters. So we all went to if you guys have, I know we're 1 minute over, if you have another second. I came back so inspired with all of these ideas, and on the plane I tried to take a nap and I couldn't, and I just like word vomited on a Google Doc and was like all of these things. And there's been a couple things that I've started implementing after talking with eBay, but then I think a lot of the inspiration came from other sellers that are they're doing. I felt like I was the smallest seller in the sense of quantity. I probably am the small. I mean, I have 2,000 items. I think I was probably the small. I don't have it. I have virtual assistants. Gabe has like 150 employees, right? I felt like one of the smaller sellers, not in a negative way, but there's so much that you can learn from people who are up here. And it's very humbling conversations, not like, oh, I do it. Like there was so much inspiration. We didn't go to sleep because we just wanted to stay up and talk. So I'm interested to know what kind of things you guys are implementing. Like I said, I'm implementing things. Follow my channel, subscribe. Videos are coming out on things that I learned and I'm implementing them, how they're going, and how to, like someone said they're doing this, I'm going to try it and show you the data behind it if it works. But I'm interested to know, like, if you coming out of eBay headquarters, what you are implementing.
Well, much like you, I left it and I was like, whoa. I walked in thinking, oh, I got my stuff on lock. Yeah, right. Reality check. Then I spoke to all the amazing people. It's like, ooh, I got to do this. I got to try this. It was just so much. I came back so fired up, and I've been the first thing I did is I reached out to get a growth advisor, like Anna, suggested. She and I connected. We're going to connect about the spreadsheet for the inventory. I'm learning a lot about data and analytics. Everybody had something to offer. A lot about Instagram, social media, create your brand. So much amazing information. I mean, we could go on and on, but the ones I have implemented is obviously the growth advisor. I need to implement my inventory system, and studying my data and analytics is huge to me because I never knew those tools were so important to the success of my business. So those are the ones I'm really focusing on right now.
Well, you know my passion for
I
that.
know.
So if you have questions or you want me to look things over, or I mean, I'm all.
I've been stalking you on YouTube.
Anna, what have you kind of implemented?
Yeah, so there's been a few things. With the structure of my store, I haven't changed a whole lot, but I feel like being surrounded by so many different business models, I've just sort of had a new lens for looking at like, how do I look at churn in my business? You know, what kind of a role do certain processes play, and how, you know, are there more things that I can like tighten up and make more efficient? So I've definitely been like asking those questions and, you know, working my way through all of my processes and reevaluating things. But also, I've probably been more active on social media since I got back from California than I have in the last year.
Oh,
So,
really?
yes,
Yes, I love
I
it.
totally blame you and the Hustle Bee for that. But anyway,
Oh,
you're
that's
right.
not me. I
You're
just
my inspirations. But it's been good. I mean, I really didn't know how much community there was to be had with eBay. And it's like a refreshing, delightful surprise to find that out, that like, oh, I just came home with like 20 new best friends. And that really is how it feels. And so that's been like a totally different way, a totally different approach to like doing social media for me. It's like been fun and refreshing. And that's really not how it's been in the past, because that's not my natural bent at all. But
I think a lot of resellers, right? Like,
yeah.
we work at a house by ourselves for a reason.
Yeah, we like it that way. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So that was like a huge thing. And then also there were other things that that I had no idea about. eBay, the expressions group, where you're like a seller that's opted in to give feedback to eBay directly through surveys and panels and stuff like that. And also we had the opportunity to sort of get involved with the government relations stuff, which is like one of the things that Yinka's a poster child for.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that was a thing I didn't even know existed. So it was cool also just to like get connected with those like aspects of selling on eBay and being more of an advocate and more of an active participant in the community. So I think for me, like those kind of auxiliary things were like really huge. And I feel like there will be some major changes to my store itself, but that's going to be more of a slow trickle. And I have a lot to chew on still. But I did the same thing that you did, Sarah, when we were flying home back to Atlanta. Me and Lori Wong sat next to each other on the plane, and we both just sat and took notes for the first hour. Like we had been talking and stuff in the airport, and then we're like, okay, time to take notes. We both just sat and wrote notes before we had any more conversation, because we just needed to like dump out our brains from the week. But it was awesome. There's so many things like that I did learn. So I was so grateful. I had no idea what to expect, honestly.
Yeah, I think we were all just nervous about the prep, and I didn't think about any of the other stuff. And I was like, well, that was all really cool.
Yeah, exactly. Totally.
Even just meeting other people, right?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you my key takeaways and things that you guys can be looking for, and then I'll let everyone go, because I know it's been a big day and we have 2 more days ahead.
Yes, we do.
I'm just thinking real quick, if Poshmark released their announcement yesterday, because eBay's open is today, like smart marketing. Anyway, not what I was going to get to. A couple of things. So I have never done sell similar before. I've heard controversy on whether you should do it, whether you shouldn't do it. If you're new to eBay, sell similar would be ending a listing completely, not relisting it, because relisting is going to give you the same ID number. Ending it completely and relisting it. Controversy, I'm not going to get into it because I'm going to do a video on it, so you guys can watch. I am trying it. I'm trying sell similar. I got back in like the next day. I was like, this is the number one thing I want to try, because there's a lot of controversy. I talked to a lot of different people. They had different perspectives on it. So I was like, what do? I'm going to try it, and then I'm going to show you guys the data. So I have tried it. I have looked at the data. It takes me a couple of weeks to get videos out. So keep an eye out. It will be coming. On my perspective of sell similar, it's going to be different for every single person. So I'm going to tell you if it works for me, but then show you what data to look at to see if it's a strategy that works for you. Basically just making your older inventory, refreshing it. So it's definitely like one like actionable item that I did when I came home. Another thing was newsletters. So I talk about this in my tools analytics on eBay, and I have used newsletters. I took the summer off. And so anything that came out in May with the seller update, I didn't really do because I took the summer off, and they came up with new newsletter features that I've also tried out, and I've also done a video on. So it will be coming out in a couple weeks or next week or tomorrow. I don't know. But I filmed it. It will be coming out on some of the new eBay features and how to get repeat buyers with the newsletters. People who have already subscribed to your channel store. It's not YouTube. So those are two like actionable things. And then I came home kind of like Anna, like so inspired by, I mean, some of these people, the other sellers had 150 employees, and Lori and Gabe both have their companies are for like fully nonprofit, like helping other people. Like there's just so many different ways to do this and so many inspiring stories that I came home. We went straight to New Mexico, and I like spewed on my husband for about 6 hours. Like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. And then 3 weeks have gone by, and I'm like, I'm not doing any of that. Not because I'm not inspired, but because I do this so that I can be with my children, and I don't want to grow. And it's okay. Like, I had to tell myself, Sarah, it's okay. I'm happy for all of these other people doing it. I have met someone on the eBay Open that is local to me, and she is doing an eBay for charity similar to what Lori does, fully to fund a food bank local to me. And she reached out to me on eBay Open just before this, and I was like, I can help that way. I can teach people to list. I can teach people to store. Awesome. I don't have to run it. And then the other thing that was really interesting too, and I don't know if you guys noticed this too, the diversity from eBay team. As a woman in a science field, when I was in corporate America, I was the diversity. And by that, I mean, I was the one female. It was all white males in their 50s. And so it was really in the sellers that they brought on, in their staff, and the people that you saw walking around. It made me really like eBay a lot more, because you could see that they were hiring people that were right for the job, not necessarily, I know this person and I got, like that. I'm not going to get into that conversation.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate the diversity in women. Yes. It was definitely a great takeaway, that if I get out of reselling, I would look into working for eBay. I was very, impressed with everything that they did. I'm going to let you guys go. I will see everyone who's at eBay Open tomorrow. I'm trying to be on the chat. Rosie's like, I'm out. I think she just went black. Oh, no, it's been an hour on the film. I'm so sorry, Rosie. You've done
it's fine. Like, everybody's calling. I don't know why. They probably saw my terrible video, but whatever.
Oh, yes. No, you're good. Well, that's when they call, right? It was when you're on the phone. So I hope to see everyone tomorrow at eBay Open. Like I said, eBay for Business will have all of the sessions on their channel next week if you miss it. And I will see everyone next week for my live about liquidation with Rosie and with, now I forget. You said him earlier. Someone else. Yes. It's already scheduled. They're on there. And I think maybe one other person too. I don't know, but we're going to be talking different sourcing strategies. This is kind of my bottleneck right now, so I'm excited. It's personally for me.
I will be trolling those comments, not trolling, but I'll be there learning.
You're a moderator now, so you have to.
Great.
I always say trust, but verify. I heard the same thing, so I tested. Both will yield a new number items. She's talking about sell similar.
Yes.
So have a wonderful Wednesday, everyone, and thank you guys for coming on, Rosie and.
Bye. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.